I knew I needed to tell the audience what makes Pennsylvania so great from the start. So you've got covered wagons, the house where Nixon was born, air pollution, welding, heavy goods trains, hikers, door-to-door leafleting campaigns, and the urn, which is actually the state symbol. Now, Pennsylvania sits alongside a number of other states, collectively known as the Prawn Belt, as it resembles a popular seafood item. Some of the visual effects we used in this film, honest to God, still brings a tear to my eye nearly 40 years later. But what really makes it tick? Is it the aggressively mechanised nature of the manual labour, or is it something else? That is a rhetorical question, by which I mean I posed it in the narration, but then forgot to answer it later on. Apologies for how my voice sounds, by the way. I'm doing one of these for all 50 states, and I attempted to record them all in one afternoon, which I now realise was a mistake. Fake ballot box, crew members' hands. We're showing you behind the curtain. You're welcome. The land of decision isn't actually the state motto of Pennsylvania. The state motto is never look a gift horse in the mouth unless you want your face biting. But this fit better on a title card. So, lovely pan. Such a classic way of establishing a film. It's like the film saying, have a look around you. Go on, don't be shy. Take your time. Now that is either part of a boat or a giant sculpture of a teapot by a blind man. funny story. The driving there is actually being done by one of the cameraman's kids who was on set that day. We were all still half cut from the previous night, so none of the crew were in any fit state to drive. You couldn't actually see over the steering wheel, so we had to get him to drive extra slowly and speed up the footage in post. Whenever you see an aerial shot, it wasn't done via a helicopter or throwing a midget into the air. What we did was we duct taped a load of camcorders to pigeons and just let them fly off. Then, after we gave them a bit of a head start, we had a sniper shoot them down, being careful not to damage the equipment. We would then recover the footage and review it. In this way, we probably got around 2 to 3 minutes, I would say, of usable footage, and only cost us 40 pigeons. On balance, I'd say it was probably worth it. These farmers wanted a whole day's pay for us filming them doing what they would have been doing anyway for 5 minutes. I said to them, you lot already take the piss with daylight savings time, and now you're trying to mug me for 20 quid? You'd only spend it on badger poison anyway. They were not happy. I suppose I should probably tell you some facts about Pennsylvania. That's the most haunted road in the state. That's the highest paid job. That's the least secure prison yard. That's the most brazen drug dealer. And that's the least interesting sign. There you go, some fast Virginia facts. Sorry, Pennsylvania facts. I actually always wanted to have a wang at directing a horror film, but I just never got around to it. Then George Romero got his grubby Midsommar Notebook, and the little tea leaf got the career I should have had. Lesson learned, fuck George Romero. Now, obviously, with the sound off, this won't have the same impact, but these two are brothers who own a funeral home. Here they're discussing how best to do an open casket wake for someone who fell into the blades of a helicopter. See, he's saying they should have multiple coffins with different pieces of the deceased in each one. At this point in the film, I wanted to wake people up who might have got bored, so I made the decision to have the names of different religious denominations flash up on the screen, accompanied by an evil laugh on the soundtrack, just to underscore where I stood on religion. And these are the places of worship where they infest people with their poisonous lies. And these are the houses where they eject more indoctrinated spawn into the world. Although, I will say, theists make the best pancakes, so, swings and roundabouts, really. Now, this is my favourite shot in the film. It's a pity, actually, that it was shot in New Hampshire, really, but Pennsylvania doesn't have any buildings over 100 feet tall. Some superstition the mayor back in the 1700s had, where he thought tall buildings were more desirable to Satan on account of them being phallic. That is a model, not real. Toy cars being pulled by fishing wire. Again, you're welcome. Very few sunny days in Pennsylvania. On average, it's sunny about 37 days of the entire year. So when we were looking to film some sunny day footage, we just slathered butter on the camera lens. Tricks of the trade. More model work here, you'll see. This was done by the incomparable Brian Harryhausen. We couldn't afford Ray, unfortunately, so we had to make do with his little brother. Amazing what he was still able to do with one arm, I have to say. Incredible. I really wanted, more than anything else, to shine a light on the industries that make Georgia what it is. Sorry, Pennsylvania. I mean, despite what you see here, Pennsylvania does have the highest rate of unemployment for any state, except for Alaska and Hawaii, the freak states. What you're seeing here is actually the result of a disgruntled caterer who didn't get paid on time. Bev of Bev's Big Baps torched a load of Brian's models, and we couldn't save them, so we thought we'd do the next best thing. Film it and stick it in the documentary as some moody scene setting. In your face, Bev. Hope you're enjoying prison food. Highest density of chimney stacks for any state. Not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's definitely a thing. Love a good shot of a long train. Or a long shot of a goods train. One of my few guilty pleasures. It conveys to me industriousness and functionality, and makes people think of Dumbo. So, win-win. I think the mayor of Pennsylvania really wanted to put it on the map. And I mean that literally. The maps they had in schools were missing about 2/3 of the states, and the ones that were there were misspelt. I mean, they spelt America with 3 C's, for Christ's sake. I'm something of a history buff, and I love shooting anything to do with the past. Now, this is a scene from the Battle of Waterloo. That's Nelson there in the Mayflower. Now, you really get a sense of what it must have been like for those brave suffragettes back in the 1500s. If they hadn't burnt their bras in Trafalgar Square, we'd all be speaking German right now. Did you know you needed a special license to actually film commercial vehicles? Me neither. Found out years later when a train driver tried to sue me. I thought to myself, you're a public servant, my taxes pay your wages, and you're trying to extort money from me? Talk about buying the hand that feeds you. Pennsylvania is rich in Civil War history. Mostly cannons, a few statues. Surprised they're still standing, if I'm honest. Give it a few weeks. Did we have permission to film in the cemeteries? No. Did we need permission to film in the cemeteries? Probably. Never read the manual on how to make a film. Why? Too busy fucking making them, mate. This sweeping shot truly captures the majesty of Pennsylvania. Simply takes your breath away. And we were legally obliged to include at least 3 panning shots. Let's just say the tourism board can be very persuasive when it comes to having the final say. To me, these freeways symbolise the constructs that man desires to impose upon himself more than any extraneous force of nature. Technology lifts us up while simultaneously limiting us. Look at sex robots. Big bush there. That guy got weird about us filming it, thought the camera would damage it somehow. I mean, he was right in the end because one of the rigs fell over and crushed it to bits. Still, presumptuous. They had to install a guardrail there because a load of pensioners wandered off the edge of the gorge. Never even bothered looking for the bodies. Authorities just said, well, they're dead, and stuck a few bollards up. Not even a plaque or anything. I mean, on some level, I get it. Looking at the drop there, it's clear to me there were no survivors. If their bodies weren't smashed to pieces on the rocks, they'd have been drowned in the river. Easy. In case any of the relatives are watching, sorry for your loss. Fishing has long been a tradition in Pennsylvania. No, Delaware. Fucking Pennsylvania. Shit. They weren't best pleased. Tried having a go at us, saying us filming put them off. I said, you couldn't hang on to your wife. You couldn't hang on to that fish. What can you hang on to? Never seen a man in waders cry before. Now, we did do a lot of filming in August, right as the trees were turning, but we didn't get all the shots we wanted. So once again, we used our old friend camera trickery. Now, this is all filmed in winter when the trees were bare, but we paid a guy to stick the leaves back on the trees to make it look autumnal. Work experience kid, I think his name was Matthew Damon, something like that. He said he wanted to work in films. No idea what happened to him, you know. Now, you can see there where he's just stuck the leaves on the trees but left the snow for all to see. Half a job, Bob. I don't know. Shouldn't have paid him that 20 quid in all fairness. Well, that's the end. I hope this film hasn't put you off going to Pennsylvania, and in some cases actively encourages you to go. Thanks for watching / listening.